Hey there, everyone, and welcome to another weekend workshop. It's so great to have you joining us today. Actually, we're actually going to focus on a virtual cafe today. Let me rename the session. Our virtual cafes are 1 hour in length, as many of you know, and it's a chance for you to get interactive with the material that we're talking about today. And so, welcome for those who have never joined us before. It's so great to have you here. And welcome back to Tammy and Cheyenne, who are familiar faces in the weekend community. And it's so great to have you. I know that you've both been a part of so many programs. I'm sure there's many women on the call today who recognize you and are going to get a lot out of what you're talking about today. So just as I'm continuing to let people in from the waiting room, I want to give you a chance to connect with each other in the Zoom chat. So this is a great chance to network and to put your business out there. Everyone complains to me about getting more visible with their business. I like, this is a chance for you. If you have a business, let us know in the Zoom chat where you're connecting from, maybe what your business is. And if you have a link, you can put that in there as well. We would love to learn more about it and hear from you there. So go ahead, do that. While you're doing that, I'll take a moment to acknowledge that I am connecting to this virtual cafe today from the ancestral territory of the Huron and the Anishinaabe. And Queen's University is located on a territory which is known as, of course, the Dish with One Spoon, and it's governed by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. And I've always loved this imagery of the dish with one spoon, the dish being the earth. There is only one earth. And the spoon is that we share the resources of that earth. And Indigenous philosophies have been such an eye-opener for me as I apply them not only to regular life, but to business as well. And so to me, what we're doing today is we're resource sharing. We're sharing not necessarily the Earth's resources, but the wisdom of two incredible women who have joined us today on the call. And so thank you so much for those who are connecting in the Zoom chat, by the way. If you're just arriving, please take a moment to let us know what your business is, where you're connecting from, and maybe a link so that we can get to know you better. All right, so since we just have an hour today, I want to jump right into it. Tammy, I believe that you are going to be kicking it off. And for the group, if you know and you've been a part of our weekend workshops in the past, you'll know we usually have slides, but today we've got some fancy footwork going on with our presenters. So I'm going to spotlight them for you. So you'll see sometimes me spotlighting different people. If something's going wonky, just let me know in the chat and say, Carrie, hey, this is happening. And it's, we practice, so it should be fine. But I'm going to unspotlight myself and Cheyenne. Tammy, I believe you're going to start today. I'm going to give you the virtual microphone. Let's dig into this topic today of unlocking the power of your business personality. Let's dive in.
Thanks so much, Carrie. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Cheyenne and I as we kind of highlight a project that we've undertaken. We're exploring entrepreneurship, and our goal is to provide information so that we can think and better ourselves, and most importantly, be part of a group. So I am Tammy Watson. I own and operate Canadian Handywoman in North Frontenac, and I'm also transitioning into becoming a business coach. Cheyenne O'Driscoll of CO Marketing. Say hi, Cheyenne.
Sorry, I got distracted by the chat. Yeah, I'm Cheyenne. I am a small business marketing coach and consultant and very happy member of the weekend community. I'll let you keep going, Tammy.
Absolutely. So this definitely is a product of the weekend community. We want to inspire, we want to inform, and we want to empower women. And it started with Cheyenne and I. I would read a book and I would call Cheyenne and I'd say, "Oh my gosh, I just read this book." And Cheyenne was like, "I read that book too." And we would have some great discussion about what we learned, what we discovered, what we got out of, what we want to get out of different books. And we're like, we have to share this. And that's how we grew to start this exploring with entrepreneurship opportunity. So the book that we ended off just before we started this whole thing was actually the E-Myth, exploring the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And I will put the link to that, the Amazon link to that in the notes. And it's an amazing, it had amazing discussion on who you are as a small business, whether you're a technician, a manager, or an entrepreneur. So Cheyenne's going to start by doing the deep dive about different roles that we play on our entrepreneur journey. When she's done that, we're going to have a little bit, Cheyenne and I will kind of, show you how we like to banter over this information, and then we're going to open it up, and we really want this to be an interactive opportunity for everyone to be able to participate in it. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Cheyenne.
Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Here are my fancy slides. So as Tammy mentioned, and thank you for that, Tammy, we're part of a lot of group of women and entrepreneurs in that. And the more conversations Tammy and I were having with other people, we recognized there's such an identity to being an entrepreneur, and there's a mindset and a skill set that comes with that. And the further we get into our journeys as entrepreneurs, the more we wanted to be able to invite more women, especially into that conversation, so that it really helps us step into the self-belief and the capacity to build businesses. And a lot of that has to do with entrepreneurship, which is what's behind these conversations that we have and why we've taken it into kind of a more formal group so we can invite other people into it. So as Tammy mentioned, today we're going to be talking about the E-Myth. This is one of those books, anybody who's been in the small business space, especially brick and mortar for any length of time, they've probably read this. It's one of those foundational books. There's like 8 or 12 different versions of it out now. I've read a few of them. The author, Michael Gerber, was a consultant for small businesses, and he'd worked with just so many small businesses that he was able to recognize the patterns and the common mindset problems that were causing small businesses to fail. There's so many. I think we've all heard the stat of like 85% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And he really dug into the reasons why. It's not luck. It's not that you picked the wrong business. It's quite often related back to this ability to maneuver between the 3 personalities that we need to go into as a business owner. So here's the 3 personalities we're going to talk about today. The technician, and this is where we usually start. Most of us have some kind of trade or skill set or ability that we know how to do well. Maybe we were doing it in another business for a company under someone else's supervision. Maybe we developed it on our own as a hobby or a project, but we're technically skilled at something, usually. And this is where most of us start off as a business owner. And those first 1 to 3, 1 to 5 years is all about being the technician. And the next stage, that's infancy in the terms that Gerber uses. The next stage is adolescence. And this is a big jumping point where a lot of those businesses do fall flat and we fail in those first 5 years, is managing this transition into the manager. And we're going to talk a lot about that today. There's good reasons why it's hard. So the manager is all about bringing in order and systems and starting to shape the structure of your business. This is where you're talking about operations, and that's in the adolescent stage. And then we move into entrepreneurship. Although the entrepreneur does come in at the beginning, even the act of being like, I'm gonna start a business, that takes an entrepreneur mindset. But we spend the first bunch of years really firming up the business, and then we hit a point of like, what now, right? Like, what do we want to do now? And that's when we put on our entrepreneur hat. In Gerber's point of view, ideally, it really takes us a balance of all 3 of these roles to be an ideal small business owner. And one of the most common pitfalls he finds is that we end up working in the business and not on the business. And I know a lot of us have heard that saying, and that's that transition from technician to manager and even entrepreneur. But the caveat I want to give is that Gerber was focused on brick and mortar small businesses that want to scale and reach the franchise level. That doesn't mean that's what we're all here to do. A lot of us are craftsmen by nature, and we're building a business that we want to have a solid income that supports us. We don't want to hit the point of franchising and scaling. We still need all three of these skill sets, and it's really advantageous to be aware of it. It just might not be in the same way that Gerber is saying we need the perfect balance. If you love being an artisan, or if you really like your craft and you just want to build out a job for yourself, you'll weigh heavier on the technician side. We still need the other ones to give us some kind of structure and then the ability to continuously earn an income with it. But just keep that in mind. All of this is always about being intentional around what you're creating for yourself and never just following a formula. You just take the bits and pieces that apply and use them for yourself. It's the beauty of books, right? I love books. So our first one, our technician. This is the one that knows how to do the thing really well. I have worked with over 100 small businesses, business owners, entrepreneurs. I don't know if I've ever encountered someone who's like, yeah, do it good enough. I'm going to start a business. There's always some kind of deep passion and a drive to deliver a high standard of quality, right? So there's something we really love about what we do. I'm a marketer by trade, so I love marketing. I like creating content. I like creating strategy. Tammy, her current business is based on handiwork. She really loves doing that kind of work, and she has a high standard for herself. This is a technician hat that we wear. So the technician is the doer in the business. They're skilled at performing the tasks necessary for its operation. In the Gerber book, it's a baker is a big example that he uses. She really loves to bake pies. She's really good at it. That's her technician role. These are the kind of the qualities. When we're in the technician role, here's what we're looking at and the qualities that we're embodying. We will excel in our craft or trade and take pride in delivering high quality results. That's really important because as a small business, if you're okay with delivering substandard quality results, you have no viability anyways. We're really focused on completing tasks efficiently and effectively. So in a business mindset, we understand if we're doing it as a hobby, we can take our time, just do it while we're watching shows or something really leisurely. When we're looking at the same kind of tasks as a business, we do have a focus on doing it effectively and efficiently. And here's where it can be a bit of the trade-off of wearing the technician hat too much, is we may become absorbed in day-to-day tasks, sometimes at the expense of the broader business objectives. This is the classic working in your business rather than on your business. And this is where we get held up quite often in that first 5 years of business. If we stay in the technician role, if we stay in that infancy role of a business owner, our business becomes very difficult to sustain and keep viable. We really do need to be able to move into the next stage. But there's a lot of people that I talk to who they just want to do the thing that they built their business to do. They want the doing. And this becomes a matter of intentionally making a choice. Am I building a hobby that pays for itself? Is that what I really want? Do I just want a job? Am I creating a job for myself? Or am I building a business? So I really advocate making that intentional choice and being mindful about that and just knowing what you're going for and your end goal and applying things to that. So when we're in the technician and we understand I need to start working more on my business, what we're really talking about is moving into the manager role. And the manager role is all about creating structure and organization. I see the first 1 to 3 years of business, at least, as an expert. You're learning. You are really exploring what your business is even going to be. We have ideas when we go in. 3 years in, if you still have the same ideas, you probably haven't done business right, because it will always adjust. It will always change. And that's the beauty of business, is that you don't know it till you go into it. You learn what people actually respond to, what they're actually looking for, what your workflow looks like. But once you get all of that doing really locked in and you're like, this is viable, people are buying it, I feel really capable of producing this, you've got the technician role locked in for yourself. This is where sometimes we get really overwhelmed because we're like, there's so many things coming at me right now and it's all chaos. This is where we need to put on the manager hat and start rising above the technician role and the doing. And we start to organize the chaos. We start to track our systems and our processes. And when we put on that hat, the manager becomes someone who's responsible for organizing, coordinating, and overseeing the systems and processes within the business. This can feel very dry. Most people I know have a hesitation to move into this role. There's a lot of, but I want to bake the pies. I want to do the thing. I don't want to have to organize. I don't want to do admin. But there's such a gift in this for yourself, even if you're going to stay a solopreneur, especially if you're going to scale out to having employees or contractors. And when you start to see the gift that's in there, it does become a lot more fun. So when we move into being a manager, we're going to be concentrating on establishing and optimizing systems and processes to streamline business operations. The gift in here is a reduction in stress. That's like the biggest gift ever. And I know we all have way more stress than anybody needs in our lives. So this becomes a big gift to yourself as well as to anybody you're working with. The focus we have here now is less on doing the task. And now we're focusing on delegation, supervision, and performance management. Quite often with solopreneurs or people at the early stage, when they know they have to work on their business, kind of the shortcut we might try to take is I'll contract it out. I'll get someone else to manage that for me. The reality is most contractors are not looking to manage in your business. They're looking to perform a set of tasks for you. If you're going to use a contractor effectively and efficiently, you need to put on a management skill set. You need to know how to delegate and make sure they're performing to your standards. They're fitting in your business operations. So even if the hope is to be like, someone else can take care of that, you still need to manage that outsourcing. So it's really important that you're able to put on this hat. And then the piece that we do is we end up striving for consistency and improvement in operations. I'm a chaotic person by nature. I love being the technician. I love creating, but that chaos comes at a cost. When you're able to create consistency and you're able to create a operational system in your business, it's very, very easy then to move into contracting or bringing in employees to help, operate your business. But it even becomes a gift for you if you're a solopreneur. I have some systems that I follow when I need to. We all have wavering energies, right? Sometimes we aren't super high energy or we don't have a lot of creativity. When you have a process to follow, you can rely on that. So you create the structure even for yourself. You don't have to always rely on being, able to create the ideas and concepts that you need in that moment. You know how to deliver to the same standard in a way that's really consistent. And that allows you to create I'm a marketer by trade. So that type of thing is what makes the difference between you standing out. The technician is the beginning point. When you have a high quality product or service, that helps your initial growth, super important. The management, when you can keep replicating that helps your business have a really good, solid reputation and brand equity. Then we move into the entrepreneurship role. I love this one. I come from a long family of entrepreneurs. I actually started my journey as an entrepreneur backwards. I didn't start as a technician. I had my marketing background in education. Like I had got my education in it, but I actually had no experience. I jumped right into being a small business owner and a freelancer. So I started my little entrepreneurship and then I built up the technician as I went. And everybody who makes the choice to be a small business owner and not work for themselves or not work for somebody else has this in them. There's some part of their personality that has that tolerance for risk and the innovativeness and the creativity. Otherwise, you would just stay in the stability of working for somebody else. So the entrepreneur is the big picture. It's the visionary leader who drives innovation, growth, and change in business. And this sounds like a really big, it sounds a little grandiose, but the reality is if you decided to create a business, that was innovative. That didn't exist before. You legitimately looked at it and created something completely new in the market that nobody else had to offer yet. So when we put on our entrepreneur hat, what we're doing is we're going to be primarily focused on envisioning the future direction of the business and driving innovation. We're going to identify market gaps, anticipate customer needs, develop groundbreaking solutions. We're going to be... Oh no, we're getting feedback.
Weird, eh? All of a sudden.
Oh, there's somebody unmuted. I can't mute. Oh, there we go. Okay. So when we're in entrepreneurship mode, this is where we really thrive on creativity. We like risk-taking and exploring new opportunities. There's a bit of an irony. I know all of us who've been in business I'm a single mom of 3 and I support my household completely on my business. So I know the beauty of when you get to a stable place, wanting to risk something, it seems very counterintuitive. It's once you get stability in your business and you get to that point, you're kind of like, No, I really don't want to go back to that beginning stage when it all felt very new and very unstable. But the beauty of entrepreneurship is that in order to keep, it's not even just about growth. In order to keep a stable income, you need to be in a dance with the market. You need to have an entrepreneurship hat on so that you're paying attention to the growth and the changes, because the context of your business will always change. Our society and whatever market you're working with is constantly changing. So we do need to stay fluid and flexible and creative. And that's where putting on the entrepreneurship hat really helps us keep a business that's capable of growing or maintaining income. Because some of us don't want to scale really, really big, right? We just want to be able to have a reliable, stable income to support what we're doing so we can keep contributing. So each of these roles brings a certain strength and skill set and mindset to the table. And as Gerber outlined, it's important to have all three, especially if you're looking to franchise. For me, if you're looking to be an entrepreneur at all, you need to be capable of putting on all three of these hats in a very intentional way. Even if you're going to try and contract out as much as possible, these are still things that we all should have as entrepreneurs. It empowers us and it allows us to identify ourselves as having the skill set to manage these type of things. So when we've got the technician hat on, what she's going to bring to the table for us in our business is efficiency and quality of work. She's really important in the infancy stage. If we want to build a business that we don't have to go use like sleazy sales tactics and push people to buy our stuff and convince them and manipulate them, we want a product or service that is high quality. And that's what the technician does. That passion that she has for whatever she's working with is what helps us stand out in the market. The attention to detail, the dedication to quality work is really important. And it's what brings the initial business growth. A lot of the people I work with, they've been in the first 3 to 5 years and they're really successful. And they're like, I've never had to market. And I'm like, oh, that's because you've been a great technician. Because if you have a high quality product or service, your immediate network of friends, your personal network, your professional network, they will know and the word will travel in that way. And your initial business growth will come from the technician. Our manager, what she's going to bring to the table for us, even though it seems very dry and very boring, she is a gift. I promise you. I am not a manager by nature. I had to really work on this, and I'm so grateful that I have. She brings organization and structure, scalability and replicability. I have such a hard time with that word. I should take it out. But the long-term stability of your business, and I've been in business, I think 5 years now, it comes from management. The way you are able to take your standards as a technician that produce the quality that you produce, that sets a business growth, you take those out and you build a system and a process that makes sure those standards are met every time. And that's what allows your business to get more substantial. And it's what allows your business to really take form. Until you hit manager level, you're really more in a jobby stage where you've purchased yourself a job or a hobby and it's creating income. But management is what starts to create the structure and the operations that brings it into a business. And our entrepreneur, what she's going to bring to the table, all these, high level words that feel intangible, but are super important. Innovation and adaptability, market expansion and diversification, sustainable growth and competitive advantage. A lot of these are marketing terms. And quite often in the first beginning years, you're like, I just want money to come in. I don't care about diversification. Like, just let me get, a stable foot underneath me. But the truth of the matter is, as soon as you get that, because we're entrepreneurs by nature and we love creating and innovating, we're like, what's next? What do I do next? Shiny object syndrome is a serious problem in the entrepreneurship community. We're constantly finding new ideas that we could pursue. And this is where the entrepreneur really has to put on her hat and say, what is the big picture? What is my long-term goal? What makes sense in support of those bigger goals rather than getting distracted? And it's also putting on this hat and looking around at the market and where your business is. And it's not even just about like, I'm going to start a second location. It's not as big as that. When you decide to develop a new product or a new service, to sell something else, to stock something else in your store, that's all entrepreneurship decisions. So it's really about having that bigger picture and this hat and being this version of yourself allows you to make those decisions from a very conscious place instead of somewhere that's reactive based on what you saw pop up on TikTok or Instagram that someone else is recommending. So the question that we're going to kind of talk about today and that I want you guys to sit with is, what role are you filling? We all gravitate naturally to the ones that suit our personality best. We tend to lean on our strengths, which makes complete sense. The personal challenge I would love to give you all, because it's what has allowed me to get to where I am today. And I just had my first 10K month in profit. So I know how valuable these type of things are. I want you to consider, which role are you gravitating to and which role are you maybe avoiding because it feels uncomfortable. Quite often with the business owners I work with, that's the role that is blocking them from the next stage they say they want to get to. Where we want to go is great, but who are we ready to step into the version of ourselves we need to be to take ourselves there? That becomes the bigger question. And these three roles are something you need to play at some time for all of us who are in business. So to kind of flesh out where you might be focused and where you might be ready to leverage some growth in, these are the kind of questions I want you to look at. So what areas of expertise, what are your areas of expertise? Where do you excel and what tasks do you enjoy doing the most? The ones you find the most fun are going to be your strengths. I love shiny object syndrome is a serious issue in my life. I can always come up with something new and creative to do because I have entrepreneurship as a natural strength. Any feedback from colleagues, clients, mentors regarding your skills and unique abilities. Other people quite often see us very clearly, maybe a little more clear than we do, and they'll recognize the things we're naturally good at. What specific skills or qualities have contributed to your past successes? If you have, we all have successes in our past, you'll find there's probably a pattern of strengths you've been leveraging. Maybe you're a really, really organized person and you have a natural manager skill set. And then our weaknesses, which for me, I always approach a weakness as just an opportunity to learn a new skill. And then once you get to leverage that skill, it really, like, the growth you get from it because it was something that was a little lower is astronomical. Read a couple of books and you change as a person. It's insane. So where do you struggle or feel challenged in your business roles? If you're finding marketing is it's kind of the management role. If you're finding like, I hate marketing, I don't like to do it, it's because you have to rise above and you have to step out of the technician role and you have to see your business from a higher overview. That might be a sign that you need to spend some time learning management skills. Feedback or criticism you've received in areas where you may need improvement. Again, other people are very attuned to what our strengths and our weaknesses are, and they're good sounding boards if we're strong enough to take it, right? People are like, are you sure you really want me to say this? I'll be like, yes, I really, really do mean it. And then what limitations or gaps in your skill set may be blocking your effectiveness in certain tasks or responsibilities? Self-awareness is one of the biggest business assets. And if we really are able to honestly sit with this, we probably already have the answer. And it's acknowledging that if we want the benefit of these three skills and the empowerment as an entrepreneur, being willing to look at that instead of trying to hide from it and judge ourselves for it and just be like, okay, so I'm not so great with this piece. I'm going to go figure out how to improve my skills. That's such a huge part of it. So the two questions we want you to have: what role are you spending your time in that you love doing and you're probably really invested in? And what role should you be spending time in to grow your business? If that's one of your goals, which almost everybody I know in small business, that is their goal. They're looking to build or grow and really evaluating, which one of these roles should I be spending more time in, and getting honest with yourself around that answer. And that's my spiel. Tammy.
That's great, Cheyenne. I love, like, it's not a short book, and Cheyenne did an amazing job of being able to summarize the main ideas in Gerber's work. When I read it, I recognized myself as in the manager role, and I was struggling. I was ready to give up because I didn't want to do it. And it felt kind of, I don't know how it felt, but it was really peculiar knowing that I'm almost a statistic. Like, they say that small businesses don't succeed after 3 to 5 years. Most small businesses will close, and it's because we don't want to go from the technician to the manager. And then of the ones that do succeed, 85% don't go another 2 or 3 years, because then that's when we go from being the manager to being the entrepreneur. So I found it really, really interesting that this is the life cycle of the entrepreneur. Um, I guess I know what my biggest success is for being able to embrace the position that I'm in and being able to identify what position is next. And my biggest asset for that is actually this group. It's Cheyenne. It's I made this a conscious decision to surround myself with the people who I admire and the people who I want to be.
Yeah.
Not the people who, you know, were my history. That's why they are my history. And I think that that's super important. When I did call Cheyenne, it was okay, what do I do? And she gave some great advice. And it's only through talking it out. So I guess, I want to have enough time to have this discussion. And, is anybody, take it off the pin, Carrie, and
Yep.
or Spotlight.
Yeah, let's
And you know what? Let's open it up. Let's hear how others, if anyone's resonating with this. And
Yeah, and if you're not comfortable to come off microphone, actually, why don't you put a note in the Zoom chat or put your hand up in there, and then we'll know also. But it's a small enough group; it's nice and intimate. So remind us of the first question, Cheyenne. I think the first one was, what role are you currently filling of the three? And to recap, they are the technician, the manager, the entrepreneur. Let's start with that one. Let's just focus on that. Who would like to answer? Just in a short, brief time, so we can get to as many people as we can. Who's
yeah,
going to be bold? Go
go
ahead,
ahead, Karu.
Kauru, and then Joanne.
Okay, I'm doing business for 17 plus almost 18 years. And then I think first 15 years I was a technician. So I don't fit in the 5 years role because I was having my store for Jobby. And then now I'm learning being manager. But I think overall, probably I have entrepreneur, character in me as well. So yeah, I'm working on becoming manager now, with Cheyenne's help. Marketing, it's, it's hard, but yeah, I'm there
Karu,
now.
can I ask you, do you see yourself going between the three roles? Can you picture yourself?
Yes, yes. I am now try to organize a trip to Japan with my customers, and I want to do tea tours, not just only selling tea. I want to sell experience and like global size. So I want to go to
That's like the
Japan, I want to go to
entrepreneur
China.
vision. I love that. That's very visionary.
Yeah. So
Sign me up.
25 people now show up, no, sign up for my tea tour group. So we'll see. We'll
That's
see.
amazing.
Incredible. I love it. Joanne, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I've been in business for, well, since about 2015. I make soaps and lotions and stuff like that. But I had a vision, and then everybody came in and we were saying, no, can you make this? Can you make that? And I'm going, yeah, I can do it. And I'm buying all this product. I'd make it, and you can't make just one of something. So like I've got a house full of stuff. So I can't sell it. So I'm like stuck in this, I guess, a technician role. I can make it. So what I'm trying to do now is like you know, tried to do everything and couldn't do anything. So I'm gonna focus on like a solve that I make. I make the dandelion oil, myself the infused dandelion oil and white willow bark and a bunch of essential oils and stuff. I make a balm, and like the people coming back with just the healing has been incredible. Like both my husband and I were slicing potatoes up last week with mandolin. Both of us cut the ends of our thumbs pretty bad. He cut his right off and it's healed right up. Mine had a big flap on it and it's almost healed. It works on burns, takes the pain away and everything, but I can't. So I'm stuck because I've been in this one role for so long, like innovation and making things, that I can't market it. I
So
can't.
you just marketed it wonderfully right here.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah, so
what
Joanne,
I
if it's
figured, instead of going, oh, I do this, and that, I'm within the last couple of weeks being on the different calls and stuff, I figured, I got to focus on just the one thing, and one thing that's fabulous, and this is it. And
love
so
it. Joanne, where are you
I think
based?
I'm on my journey.
Where's your business based again?
I'm in St. Catharines in Ontario, just
Okay,
outside of
all right.
Niagara Falls.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
I had a crochet business for about a dozen years. And, if I had a nickel for everyone who would come in, oh, I like this, but can you do it in this color? Or can you put this brim on it? Or, you know, boy, you'd never, you wouldn't have enough table space anywhere to be able to put in everybody's request.
Yeah.
And it's
Definitely.
tough saying, this is my product. That takes and sometimes it helps me to make a script, to actually write out, this is the answer. When somebody's going to ask that silly question of, oh, can you do this? Have the answer already tucked away so that you're not put on the spot.
That's a good idea. Really good idea.
Katie, I see your hand up. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone in between. I think Katie's next. Put up your hand if you do want to go next, because once it disappears, I forget about it. So Katie, over to you.
Perfect. Sorry, guys, my video is having issues today. So that's one more thing that has gone wrong this week. I feel like it's in 3, so we'll see what happens. So thank you guys very much for doing this webinar. Honestly, I love this book. I've read it and I actually use it when I'm prospecting clients and recruiting clients, because usually with my bookkeeping business, I'm able to fill that role that a lot of people aren't good at when they're entrepreneurs. So I talk about this a lot. So I love that you guys did it. Cheyenne, I love the way that you worded each one, and there was some stuff in there. So thank you so much for the way you deliver a presentation. What role am I currently spending my time? I'm definitely the technician, and I feel like having a baby 5 weeks ago really showed me that. It showed me that I don't have enough processes in place to be able to run a business successfully and not be that technician all of the time. So thank you guys for pointing that out for me. And spending my time, I definitely need to spend more time in that management, creating those system and processes, which shout out to Wendy for being super patient with me, because she's amazing. And if you need help with processes, reach out to Wendy. And then when it comes to marketing, like, I'm really good at the business management in the sense of finance, because that's what I do. But when it comes to the marketing and when it comes to systems and processes, I kind of fail at that part, which is where I reach out to Cheyenne and Wendy to help me. And then the entrepreneur, I'm sometimes too good at the entrepreneur part, and the fact that I have way too many ideas and way too many things I want to do at once, and people need to bring me back. So I think I need to spend some time in my entrepreneur, but I really need to get a clear vision on what that looks like for me and my business, using the manager, idea of what does my business need? How can my business grow? So thank you guys very much. This was really eye-opening for me at a point where my business needs to make a shift. So thank you guys for running this.
Nice. I'm so glad that you're finding value in it. I find I take information and I refuse to take it at face value for how the presenter is giving it to me. I need it to fit my values, my integrity, how I want to move with that information. And depending on where my mind is at a particular time, I'm going to get something different out of his book, whether I read it today or whether I read it in 6 months. I feel it's really important to appreciate when you're in the different role, you take the information differently. So maybe going back and, listening to a portion of the book that you think might resonate with you, and then coupling it with other information. Like, there are so many great books out there, and they all have wonderful nuggets of information that we can draw upon. Cheyenne.
To touch on the entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur by default as well. I come from literally 4 generations of entrepreneurs. I avoided it as long as possible, but it caught up to me anyways. One of the things I will say, those big picture things, the beauty of developing an entrepreneurship mindset and skill set, which is what Tammy and I's group is all about. Intentionality makes the biggest difference. Having ideas is not, it's the start of entrepreneurship. Once you get really focused and intentional on which idea you're bringing into fulfillment, that's when you stop getting really scattered and pulled in a million directions. And you're able to be like, I know what I'm building over the next 5 years, and this sounds really cool. But as an entrepreneur, I'm looking ahead to that end goal, and this doesn't quite fit. That's such a huge part of it, intentionality.
True, true. Just before we go to Chandra, because I see your hand is up, I want to note Wendy has said, I feel like I'm in all three roles, but the entrepreneur role is one that I don't always focus on, closing the gap between where I am today and where I want to be, which is certainly, I think, rings true for a lot of us. Chandra, over to you.
Thank you. Let me see if I can get my camera on and talk. And put my hand down. Oh, lots of, okay. So thank you for this time, and the content was really, really helpful. What I was able to identify for myself is I am definitely in the entrepreneurial mindset more than I probably should be at this stage in my business. I wrote in the chat, I started a coaching, consultation, event planning. Can see the entrepreneur mind going through all of those things. Practice while I was working a full-time job. And then I lost my full-time job, which launched me into a choice. Do I want to pursue, or do I want to look for another job? And I chose not to look for another full-time job. I'm working a part-time job, that's my wonderful canary yellow. But what I find is I need to spend more time developing the ideas that come up, because when I first left my job, it was felt flooded with ideas. And so I feel like I have a lot of great starts. And I know not everything is actionable at once, but what resonated really was making it excellent and repeatable, which I know was a different word, but I can't remember what it was.
Replicatable, I think it was a big one.
Replicatable, yes.
Repeatable works too.
So yes, I agree. I think that that's where I need to spend my time more. I do have a great friend who is an incredible manager. So I resonated a lot with the person that just shared, and forgive me already for forgetting your name, in the fact that I know that I need to be reined in, and she can listen to me pour out all the ideas, and she can help me very well with, okay, but that's not what you said 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we decided you were working on this, so let's work which is really, really invaluable to have, because I can see with kind of being in that entrepreneur mindset, how I can just go here and go there, the shiny object syndrome, and not really focusing on doing a great job at one or a few things enough to put myself out there to market, which I think also answers my question about why I've been finding marketing. One of the reasons why I find marketing so challenging is I don't know how I show up. And I feel like you guys made so many things so much clearer, more clearer for me to move forward in direction. So thank you.
Sandra, thank you so much for sharing. That's absolutely, so many of us are in your spot. And have you heard the term business bestie? That's what Cheyenne is to me. She's my business bestie. And I do have other business besties that kind of have they have different qualities. And, I'm able to talk to these people like in like-minded content. As much as my wife is very, very supportive of me and will listen to me and will let me speak to her about it, her eyes glaze over, and she does not get or see or understand or care about, what the minutia of running a business. And only with the people who are actually in it. Brene Brown talks about the man, like being in the arena. And if you're not in the arena, then it's difficult to share that information. So I highly recommend reaching out to someone who you feel that you jive with, like, right? And don't be afraid to send an introductory email, an introductory message of some sort, whether it's through the weekend community or just a cold call email. We're all in the same boat, and you just never know who you might resonate with.
So true. I just wanted to read another note from the Zoom chat. Nicholas saying she's feeling stuck in technician mode, heavily bound to entrepreneur, needs to become the manager for her business to grow. And I love, these sessions because, again, just to highlight those three and for us to step back and to spend 1 hour in our day before we get back into all the things we need to do to reflect. I think that can have a lot of value. And then sort of, creating sort of maybe an action plan. I don't know, Cheyenne, about what your next step is here, but okay, so I know the three I've identified, now what? So let me throw that back, maybe to Cheyenne, to say, once you've identified where you are and where you want to be, what's the next move? What do you do?
The beauty of the world we live in now is that any information we need is readily and for free available online. Any skill set that you're like, not great at management, literally go into Amazon, go into Google and type it in. And even just starting to dip your toes in that water, you don't know what you don't know until you realize you don't know it. And I recognized I'm a mom of three. I had 3 kids in 4 years, and I recognized management was not a skill set I had, and it was going to cause chaos in my life. And I literally spent a couple of years learning the skill set and mindset of management. Right? If you're not a reader, YouTube videos, it's really readily available. Connect with other people who are in the middle of this. There's no limitation in access to information nowadays, and that's all it takes. Information and applying yourself, you will learn these skills. Growth mindset is essential for business. If you're a business, you need to really be open to the fact that any of these skills that it takes is something you can learn should you choose to. And that's all it is. If you realize technician is something, sit down, apply yourself, learn how to apply yourself, how to keep a structured schedule so that you're at it for a couple of hours. And just do it over and over and over again. Learn the new skills you want as your technician. If it's entrepreneurship, huge amount of things out of there. Tammy and I are creating our space in exploring entrepreneurship to bring that skill set to people and making it more readily accessible. Just invest in it and invest in yourself and your business growth.
Yeah, so there's another question in the Zoom chat. Thanks for that, Cheyenne. Muriel's saying, would you recommend the original book or the revisited book? Because there are many versions. The E-Myth has been around for a hot minute. And so what for anyone who's read any of the versions, but over to Cheyenne. Tammy, do you want to start with that?
I think the revisited is the one, like, is kind of the book. And I want to touch on quickly what Carrie put in there is, if you're not a reader, then Audible. I personally am an Audible person. And, there are 4 major ways that people learn, whether it's reading, whether it's listening, whether it's touching, whether it's doing, right? And you have to know what your strength is. Usually there's a combination of some of them. And whatever your strength is, work on that. Don't it has to fit you. You don't have to fit it.
Yeah,
Right.
and there's really no excuse not to learn. Like, well, I don't read, so I can't learn how to do that. Okay, so go to a networking event. If you're a kinesthetic person, you have to interact, find a group, whether it's on Zoom in 2D or a 3D group, right? Or it's Audible, like Tammy says, if you're an auditory learner. So not all of us read or learn visually. To her point, I wanted to point out, yes. And then I think somebody had just said something in the chat that I wanted to. Oh, I know what it was. We were talking about audio. If you have a paid Spotify account, I want to note that I just discovered you can get books downloaded on there. There's tons of books for free. The E-Myth is one of them, I believe. I'm reading an amazing one that I just started this morning, the 100K offer. So if you have paid Spotify, it's not just podcasts and music. Look under the books, because they must be now going head to head with Audible, because you can access. Yeah, and Audible has, I think, 2 or 3 free credits you can get. Cheyenne, over to you.
Just to talk about the process of learning, in case you don't know, there's 4 stages: unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. The first one is when we don't know that we're not good at something. We're just completely blank of it. This may have been a moment of developing conscious incompetence where you're like, I am falling short in that space. It is the most uncomfortable phase because you become consciously aware of a level of incompetence for yourself. It is the reason most people will avoid it. Don't let yourself be uncomfortable with the fact that you don't have a skill set yet. Learn and work towards conscious competence. That's where you have to directly apply yourself. You're awkward. It's not flowing smoothly. You have to really go at it to be good at it. But that's the only way through to unconscious competence where you're naturally good at it. So relax into the process of learning and be uncomfortable with being incompetent for a moment.
Yeah, because we're lifelong learners, right? I was just listening to this book this morning, and then over to you, Nilu, that there's two kinds of entrepreneurs, the ones that stick with it until they succeed and the ones that quit. Like eventually what you're doing will succeed once you find the alignment, but most people give up before they get there. And so like my hat's off to like Kauru, who's been in business now 17 years. And, she downplays that, but she's got a great tea business there. And through COVID and everything, like just to see what she's doing now. So, I mean, just stick with the thing. Unless you're getting no sales, and then maybe you're just not got the right product in the right market. But, that's where you tune into a business coach or, the weekend community or whatever it is. Nilu, over to you.
Thank you so much. I just would like to contribute my experience here, especially first with the learning process. I believe in continuing learning process. So, and Sharon gave me some spark regarding the marketing, and I'm just shifting something from my business. There is some transaction, so I'm just working on that part right now. But continuing learning education is one of the best thing to get information, to share information. So Udemy and LinkedIn, Udemy, I think I will. So
Sorry,
this is a site.
Oh, Udemy, yes.
Udemy, yes, Udemy.
Great resource.
Yeah, so you can like a $400 course is $20. It's on sale sometimes. So if you're looking for something, if you can log in. And another thing is LinkedIn, they have a lot of free courses and also paying courses as well. And third thing, I just heard about the Joanne, and still I'm learning. Maybe last 12 years, I'm in the business and I'm working full time, but currently no, I'm just focusing on a business and also looking for a full time because there's some process going on. There's two things right now. So if a Joanne, because I know this is some like example I'm giving you like a B2B business to business and business to consumer. So for Joanne, there's like a Loblaws and other places, they have some shelf. If you can contact directly to their headquarters sales department and just show, and this is from my experience, show them, okay, this is your product, and just if they say yes, and then show them there's some samples. So once you start with the sample, and then if they like, bring stuff on the shelf. So big businesses, they have some shelf, and also you can contact directly to the retailers as well.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, through my whole process from multicultural festival and all vendor markets, I felt like you have to connect whether you are in same business or not, but you make connections. So through that, I felt so good. And even though my background is not business, but I learned in 12 years, where in your like in job or if you are in a business, you make connection and networking. And so especially I'm a technician, mindset with the entrepreneur working on manager. So
yeah, exactly. And I think that Nilu, that makes so much sense. And let me throw it to Tammy and ask her, like that idea of, once you're the technician and let's say you're looking for different places to sell, like that would be the management level, right? Is that where you pull back and you're like, I can't just sell on this one place. Let me have a strategy. Like which set would you say the strategy is more Tammy, at the management level or entrepreneur level? What's your thoughts?
I think it really is when you're on the cusp of moving from one to the other. It's important to recognize that the challenge that you feel is the uncomfortableness of growing.
Mm.
You know, that ultimately what it comes down to. I know we have, 5 or 6 minutes left, and before we do wrap up, I'm going to throw in here information on our next opportunity. So what Cheyenne and I offer, we offer a monthly deep dive into particular topics. And on April the 24th, our next one is going to be about why, Simon Sinek's Why. And it again is a business altering book. And that's the link for the Eventbrite. We only have spots for 25 people. And I just wanted to put that in before we go off. And again, I want to thank Carrie for giving us this opportunity. And I know this past year, I was talking to Cheyenne about this morning. I was graced with winning the Women-Led Business of the Year award for the region of Frontenac. And it's not my award. It's Carrie's award. It's Cheyenne's award. It's Wendy's award. It's the We Can Community Award, because honestly, I couldn't have gotten where I am today without all of these people. And I thank everyone who is here, and I really recognize that community is such an important part of our journey.
That's very sweet. I will say though, you are an action taker, Tammy, and action takers are money makers. All right. So we can sit here and reflect, all of us on this call. We're all responsible, including myself, because I own a business. We can just reflect and then go, but we have to take action leaving here. So that would be sort of, and Cheyenne, I'll give you the last word, but my challenge to everyone in this group is, okay, we learned some things. What's your next move, right? And you don't have to tell us here, but I want you, when you get off the call, just give yourself 5 minutes, write it down somewhere. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do this week, not like next year, but here's something I can do right now. And so Cheyenne, any suggestions of what some simple moves might be for that next step, besides signing up for that next workshop that was just posted?
I'm a mindset person, and it is everything behind my success. And that came from my time in We Can and the reflection of other women seeing me in the way I was growing into. So my thing for you would be move ahead in your minds 5 years, and you are the businesswoman you want to be. Who is she? How does she live? What choices does she make? What energy does she hold? What is she doing with her day? And then reverse engineer that, because it's all completely doable.
Start doing it now, right? What energy does she have? Let's start acting as if we are that woman, because really we are that woman. She's just a few years down the road. So thank you so much, Tammy and Cheyenne, for taking the time today to spend with us. So grateful on behalf of the We Can community. For those of you who aren't directly in the Kingston region, I realize that these workshops, just to let you know, and I dropped a note earlier, these workshops are always available to you for free on our schedule. If you're not on our email list as already, just email me, get on the email list so you can find out when things are coming up. Some of them are reserved for folks in Kingston, but some are not. So just email me. You have my email because I sent you the link for today. And let's continue to grow and connect. And if we can connect you with another group in your region, we'll certainly do that. I wish everyone a fantastic, successful day as you change hats between technician and manager and entrepreneur. It's been a pleasure to connect with you today. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.
Thanks so much for that.